Okay guys, this should be the last video for us on 7.5. Like I said, this is a big section, but we're almost there, so just keep on with me, we're almost there. Alright, this last one is on using these kinds of things to simplify, just a couple more examples of how we're going to use this, how to make this work for us. So I have 2 cosine squared of x plus sine of x. Now, when I see this, because of the cosine squared versus the sine, I'm going to say this is a lot easier to get into terms of sine than into terms of cosine. The other reason I'm going to do sine is because in the direction it says express in terms of sine x, which means only sine x is allowed. That means I could do a sine x squared, but I am looking for sine x. So I'm going to go over to my identities. One that you should feel pretty comfortable with is that cosine squared of x is a couple of things. It's cosine x times cosine x. The other thing it is this one. And we will use this one all the time. Sine squared of x plus cosine squared of x. Now, if I know this to be true, then I can isolate cosine squared of x, and then whatever is on the other side, I can replace in my original expression. So 1 minus sine squared of x equals cosine squared of x. I'll come back over here, and I'm going to replace that now. So 2 times 1 minus sine squared of x plus sine of x equals, well, it doesn't matter because this isn't an equation, it's an expression. So I may want to distribute 2 minus 2 sine squared of x plus sine of x. And then if I wanted to, I could factor it out and then leave it in 2 quantities, but I'm not going to do it for this moment in time because if you look down here, I'm using this same expression to solve an equation. So here I was just simplifying it so it's all in terms of sine of x, and now I'm going to use that to do something. So I'm going to replace this whole thing right here with this because I already did all the work. So 2 minus 2 sine squared of x plus sine of x. And I'm going to add my 1 over equals 0. Why did I add my 1 over? Because they're giving to a quadratic here, right? I've got a quantity squared and a linear quantity and a constant. So clearly I'm going to be using a quadratic technique. So I'm going to do the same thing we've been doing. I'm going to let sine of x equal some variable. I'm going to call it t. And I'm going to come back through here and replace negative 2t squared plus 1t, and I'm going to combine 2 and 1 to give me 3. 2 times 3, negative 6. 2 quantities that add to make positive t. 1 would be 3 and negative 2. Now I'm going to rewrite this. All right, I'm going to factor by grouping, show you guys one more time what that looks like. Here, the only thing I have in common is a negative 1t, and then that's going to be t minus 3. And here, the only thing I have in common is also a negative 1, so that's going to give me, there's a 2 missing up on this front one, 2t minus 3. Now I've made these match equals 0. So negative 1t minus 1 times 2t minus 3 equals 0. I'm going to replace Now with my sign and solve. So I'm going to pull my -1 out to make my life easier. Sine of x plus 1, 2 sine of x minus 3 equals 0. Break that up into your two equations. Sorry, I didn't give you enough space to solve that. And I want you to finish this. Don't forget, we're looking for exact values. If the value does not exist, just put does not exist. One more example here. I will start it. I want you to finish it as practice, and then we'll check them as a group. 2 sine of 2x, 3 cosine x. Well, since this is a double, it's hard to do much with that. So I'm going to come back over to my rules, and I'm going to replace this whole quantity here with a value that is helpful. I'm going to let that value be 2 times the sine of 2x, can be replaced with 2 sine x cosine x equals 3 cosine x. Then how do I solve it? That's what for you guys, what I want for you guys to do on your own. Just a thought, I might consider shifting this cosine over to the other side so that you have two terms that both share a cosine of x on them, and then factor that out, see where that gets you. That might be the best strategy. It may not. Maybe I'm just messing with you on purpose, but probably not. So finish these up on your own, and I will see you guys tomorrow in class.